actually Jesse came up with the idea, called me sort of out of the blue and said, hey, I have this idea for a convention. Are you interested? And I insanely said, sure, that sounds great. I would love to sign up for a ton of work. But it's turned into a really, really great time. My name is Allie Charlesworth. I'm one of the chairs.
I'm Jesse.
Nice.
We actually have known each other since high school.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
We're in the same town.
Nice.
So yeah, this is our technically our third year. We did our first year in 2019.
Right.
And then 2020, everything went off the rails, and we went virtual, which actually ended up being a lot of fun anyway. We were able to reach people that otherwise couldn't.
Yeah.
That was because of the year. This year we're coming back. There was a vaccination requirement, mask requirement to keep it safe as possible. This is our technically third year. It's our second in person, and we have yet to have an actual just convention year. we're hoping for that for 2022.
But it kind of adds to the mystique of this a little bit, doesn't it?
You know what you're gonna get every year.
Don't say that. Next year gets to be normal.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, that'll be like, one normal year, right?
Right.
I'm curious, from your convention going experience, what did you take from that you applied to this, and what did you do differently that you saw from other conventions that you didn't want to repeat?
We thought that there could be a lot more effort put into being inclusive of the entire fan community.
Nice.
We didn't think that there was quite enough effort that we saw in the whole community. They intended to be very segmented towards certain demographics. And we're like, where's everybody else? We want to create a space where everybody feels like they're welcomed and respected, and that they have a space to be creative, be themselves. That was one of the big hopes that we had.
Nice.
So I'm a lifelong book nerd and a fairly newly inducted gaming nerd. And so I didn't see the authors that I was reading or the artists that I enjoy. I didn't see them represented in convention spaces, and I wanted to meet them. There's a lot of really great stuff out there that doesn't get as much notice right now, and why? There's a lot of tradition in the con world, and tradition sounds good on the surface, but a lot of times it just means it excludes people. So we didn't want that. We want everybody involved. We want everybody to be happy, and I want to meet them all.
Nice.
That's a good point about the tradition thing. That is something we noticed, is that that was actually one of the things that helped with us not being long-time members of the con scene, because we were able to, when we started planning, we were able to approach everything like, let's not do things just because that's the way they're done.
Yeah.
Like, let's take a fresh approach. Let's build the con that we want to go to.
Yeah.
We can do that from the ground up without having to worry about, are we going to upset people because we're doing something different than what's been done for the last 30 or 40 years. Like, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So,
It actually has been freeing, right? Because when you're building something new and you start out making it that way, you aren't having to go back and retroactively fit things.
Yeah.
We made sure that our staff and the people running things are diverse. I mean, in gender, race, sexuality, neurodivergence, anywhere you can think of. Our staff, there's someone on our staff who is representing.
Nice.
And we love that, because that's what makes the world cool, right?
Nice.
Is the differences.
And there's authors for everything like that.
Absolutely.
So it's important to represent them.
Yeah.
to go on directly to what you asked too about what we wanted to see and do differently.
Yeah.
Allie brought up a big one there, which is that we wanted to not just try to appeal to a more diverse community of fans, but to actually make the people. We have a year on staff, a couple dozen people that direct our programming, choose our guests, choose our panel topics, all that stuff. And we realized that it wasn't enough for just us to do that and then try to make it appeal to the entire spectrum of people. We needed to have that represented in the decision-making process. Because try as we might, we're never going to be, we're not everybody. So we needed to have a broad spectrum of folks actually making the calls for who gets invited as guests, who gets approved as artists, who what are we going to talk about on the panels?
You would think as con runners that we would actually get some say in guests and panels, but we literally are told to sit down and hush, and we can watch when they duke it out over who they're getting and all of that. We do not make those decisions. Those decisions are made at a director level, which is fantastic. I think that so I grew up in the far South, and as a woman in the South, there are certain things that you come to expect from different members of society, and it's nice to have a seat at the table, but it's also nice for everyone else to have a seat at the table.
Sure, absolutely.
But we like to appeal to everyone, and we certainly are looking to expand to fans of lots of different things. But we really like throwing large parties and having a good time. It is. A con is a huge party, and we're good at entertaining. We're great at it.
So the network aspect of it is what you're hoping for. That's
part of it, and I like seeing people happy when they see themselves represented.
Nice.
I think a lot of people grow up and they think they're odd or different, or we're all a little bit of misfits, right? and that's okay. That actually makes us all really interesting, and I love seeing people when they show up and they see an author who thinks like them or looks like them or loves like them or whatever, and they make that connection. They're like, wow, that's something I could do, that's something I enjoy, I could cosplay that, I could get this cool art, I could be an artist. I think that's really kind of why we do it.
Yeah, it is. Because it's really for people who aren't familiar with like conventions, who haven't been to them before. It's so much about the people. It's about the connections, the friends you make, and all the stuff that she just described. So, and we have a strong writing track because conventions tend to attract a lot of writers. There's a lot of history with the literature of science fiction and fantasy and horror, which is having a nice resurgence right now. So if people want to be writers, up their game as writers, absolutely have an awesome writing track. So it's great for that.
Sitting down to write, and you're ready to write. You have an idea for this story, whatever, and you want to feature a strong main character. How do you start? What is that? How do you put her together? Or does she just pop into your head fully formed? Or how does it work for you guys each?
Okay, so I am the scribe. I am the scribe. I am an empath, so I actually channel. I can write. My first novel, I wrote 11 days, 140,000 words. I do not remember writing a word.
Wow.
So I am very, on some level, I get disconnected from that process. I do as I'm told. If I don't do as I'm told, I either end up on medication or I end up in it took me years to acknowledge that is my process. And I'm okay with that. There are a lot of people who are like, when you write, you have to sit your butt in the chair, and that doesn't work for me. I can write in that. Yeah. So for me, I channel my characters, but then when I go back and read, I do see myself in a lot of my characters. And I see a lot of my perspectives on things in my characters. So, for example, a lot of my speculative fiction has an undertone of death. For me, death is not necessarily a bad thing. I really have this understanding for me that it's all circular. It is all energy based. Everything that you see is a form of energy vibrating at a certain level. So whenever I write, those are the things that I see in my writing. And it's not, there are some aspects where there's doom and gloom because that's an actual feeling, that is what people experience. But another side of that is the beauty of progressing and the beauty of being able to transcend this certain level of expectation that the characters may have gone into a situation with, and when they come out on the other side, it's this whole change and level of growth. My characters like to visit me in the shower, so I usually end up coming out in the shower talking to myself. My whole family thinks I'm insane, but I'm actually in there talking to characters. My family is very female orientated. We have lots of females. We're all like kitchen witches. We cook with love. We do we feed and we comfort people. Like the empath in me comfort people that are like, per se, you're upset. you'd come to my house and wrap me in a blanket, feed you soup, and then we'd sit there and eat cake all day. That's my way of.
I totally made that. I'm like, okay, what's your rest?
But with my females in my family, the women in my family, we are such nurturers that I tend to nurture all of my characters mentally. So by the time one brings up and says, "Oh, it's my turn," she's already got a role, she's got a plot, she's got a backstory, she's got her triggers, she's got her what she needs to grow on. And usually it always starts with her being taken, her kindness being taken for weakness, because that's what we inherently know in my family, is that we are so kind that sometimes people see past our kindness and think that we're naive. So that there's a little bit of innocence, a little bit of naivety, and then a little bit of, you know what, I figured it out, you know, and that you guys think that, and then when you see that strength come out of them, you're like, whoa, where did that come from? So I think that that's how I build my characters, and they bring up, basically they're in my head, you know, hanging out, and then they get in the shower with me, and we have a conversation for about 30 minutes, and I run my water bill.
What is a small price to pay?
I do a lot of talking in the shower too. It's kind of weird. I don't know. My ideas come to me just sort of randomly out of nowhere. At least I think that's how it happens. I've had voices of some kind inside my head since I was very young. And apparently they are characters that are trying to make me listen to them. And so that's usually what happens, that I will start hearing snippets of conversation between characters. I will hear something like someone's childhood experience in my head. I have no idea where these things come from sometimes. But I'm beginning to think that because I'm a watcher and because I pay attention to the things going around me, and I listen to people, I feel like this stuff is always, I'm filtering it all in a way that I might not be conscious of, and it's coming together in my head and creating these scenarios and new people. Sometimes, yeah, a lot of my characters have a lot of me in them, but I think that I'm channeling other people a lot of the time.
But like you said, we want to appeal to everybody because the main thing that we want to see everyone get out of it is, yes, there's the opportunity for business networking, connections, that kind of thing. But there's also just the friendships that people make here. I mean, in the past few years, the people who are here now have become 90% of my friend group.
Right, sure.
And so there's that. There's getting to be themselves for an entire weekend.
That's
You'll
awesome.
see at a good convention, what you'll see as you walk down the halls is people who are being able to really be themselves and feel like they're in the space they want to be in. Sometimes for the only time that year. You know, people really look forward to their conventions that they get to go to. That's a big part of it, is that this is the time, this is the 3 days when they get to live in the world they want to live in. You know, that's what we like to see, is people getting to enjoy being who they want to be in the place they want to be for at least 3 days out of the year.
That's awesome.
And that's why people travel from all over to go to conventions.
Is Vermithrax, the dragon from Dragon Slayer. The winner, the original Dragon Slayer, the Disney film.
Thank you, there's a lot of
The one that was done in the early 80s by Disney, that Dragon Slayer.
That received a PG rating.
That's right. And the winners, Rodan. So we have our poor lovely dragon, who's a mere weird 400 years old, coming out, munching down on virgins, and we know Rodan would be a virgin. So if you take a look at the wee foam beastie that's over here, you know, we have Rodan. He is got real weapons in the claws, breathes fire, and was not a reality TV show star. So if we take a look, you know, Rodan is what? We have Rodan. Yeah, we know. Rodan is what? We had a real budget for our film. We have a real dragon with real weapons, fire, claws, and what the hell was that? Oh yeah, we have a killer name. Okay.
That was it? Okay.
Yeah. Except for mine, everybody else awesome.
Winners?
Yeah.
At him. I'm going to be brief on this one because that's a first. All right, let's see. First off, Rodan is a kaiju that routinely goes up against Godzilla, Mothra, Mechagodzilla, and King Ghidorah. And I don't think I've ever seen him actually die in a movie. And the only movie appearance of your guy, he's dead in 2 hours. And never made another appearance literally ever again. And, may I add, was killed literally by Ally McBeal's boyfriend. Also known as the curator from Ghostbusters 2 with the weird accent, killed your dragon. So if Peter McNichol can kill your dragon, I think Rodan is not going to have any trouble.
So you have an art show, you have exhibitors here selling their product, you have people, doing fan greets and things of that nature as well. And I'm curious, from that perspective, you were just mentioning the diversity and bringing everything together. Is that something that you guys were really keen on right off the bat, was that we need to have a space where people can, and like you said, you wanted to see some of your favorite authors who weren't represented here. Is that a key element of what this convention really is about?
It is. It's about seeing yourself represented, and I think something that we're trying really hard to do is to combat gatekeeping, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up nerdy, right? I wasn't necessarily geeky, but I was nerdy. So, I was smart, read too much, did all of those things, but I didn't necessarily get huge into Star Wars or comics necessarily right off the bat. And so if you go to some places, they would tell you that I'm not a real fan, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
she's a fake gamer girl.
Yeah.
She's a, that sort of thing. And why? What does that accomplish?
Right.
Like, it doesn't actually do anything for you, and it just hurts other people.
Yeah.
And I think that combating that has been another big thing that we wanted to do.
That's huge for us. And so yeah, like from the beginning, we wanted that combating gatekeeping a big thing, because that just it messes up fandom for so many people and keeps so many people out of it. Like everyone should get to enjoy the things they enjoy. But then also we did think that being able to see everyone represented, being really inclusive, really welcoming everybody, absolutely a core principle from the start, because one of the first questions when we decided, yes, we're going to go ahead and move forward with this and start doing remote planning, the question we had to answer is, why another convention? Do we need another convention? And there doesn't need to be necessarily another convention, but there needed to be a different convention.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
That's what we wanted to be, as a place that we didn't see yet. We wanted to create that. So that's what we did.
All right. Besides being normal, this is my last question, by the way. Besides being normal, wishing that to happen next year, what do you foresee in the future? What are you guys planning out that you're looking forward to including into this festival that isn't here just now?
Sure. I think that looking forward, we're going to add some more tracks. I look forward to building the family, right? Like, that's what this has become for me.
Nice.
Is a lot of these folks have become my family, and it's like a big reunion each year, and it's lovely.
Nice.
It really is just lovely.
Yeah. And we're gonna, like you said, we'll have some tracks added. We're doing that just kind of as we see, people want more programming about art, for example. So we're like, okay, maybe we'll start adding more about that, and just kind of try to be responsive to what people are asking for, what they want to see more of. We're going to be expanding, so we have an area that we reserve for tabletop gaming. Some people just like to hang out there all weekend with their friends. Really want to start expanding that a good bit too, to make that, have scheduled games, maybe tournaments of different kinds, that sort of thing. And yeah, there's the specifics of that really are going to depend a lot on the feedback that we get this year.
Right.
Because we're going to be asking people, like, what did you enjoy? What do you want to see more of? Did you see anything that was missing that you want to see? We hear from enough people. I mean, that's something that we try to be, that's how we try to be responsive, is that our staff knows and people who come to the convention know that you can come to us with an idea, and if it's a good one, you might see it next year. Like, be careful what ideas you suggest.
And you might be volunteered to help with that, right?
Exactly. We have had people suggest things and be sort of shocked. And we're like, you know what, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Can you do that? They just weren't prepared for that. But, so that's kind of what we're looking for, is to continue doing that and just grow in a way that's responsive to what the community wants. Because it's not about what the two of us are.
Right.
It's way bigger than that now. So.
All right, I lied. I have one more question.
Sure.
How about the intimacy of this con? It's very small, but it's really by that design, because it's really one hallway. Well, there's two levels, but it's nice and small. Do you kind of like that? That's how you've started, and do you see yourselves kind of getting to an expansion like a Dragon? I mean, Dragon Con is way out there, but something in between maybe that's similar. Is that kind of the idea, or you like keeping it this kind of intimacy?
We probably will grow to a certain extent. I don't think we want to become a megacon.
Yeah.
Things get lost. People get lost.
That was my experience at Dragon Con.
Yeah. So, I go to Dragon Con some of the years, and I've had a great time. It's difficult if you want to do programming to get from track over here to track in the hotel down the street.
Take a cab to get to your next panel.
Right, and stand in a line, and but it's great for what they do. They, everybody has their thing that they like, and that's fantastic. I like being able to, if I walk down the hallway, I actually can tell you exactly who every dealer is, who every author is.
That's
you know
awesome.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love that. And if we grow big enough where I can't, then okay. But I would love to keep at least some of that feel.
Right.
That family feel. I think that's nice.
I think people don't realize the bigger you get, the more work it is too.
Right. Oh yes, it is. It is.
And then a little bit of inside baseball in the con world. There are a lot of you find relatively small cons around the country.
Sure.
And then there's Dragon Con, San Diego Comic Con, the gigantic ones. There's actually not, in terms of like annual attendance, if that's how you want to quantify it, there's not really a middle ground. There's up to a certain level, and then there's way up to 40,000 plus.
Right.
There's not really a middle ground there, because it's either a more intimate thing, or you go all out and invite media guests and movie stars and stuff like that, and then it explodes.
Yeah.
That we're not interested in doing that, because again, like she said, that's when you start to lose the sort of family feel. So conventions can absolutely grow, and we're seeing a lot of growth already. They grow by word of mouth, and they cannot start large. Like first Dragon Con is a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
Like every con has to start small, because, and then it has to grow through word of mouth. So this again is our second year, and even this year we're even restricted. People still aren't coming out because we're on everybody knows why. So it's still relatively small, but we've definitely been seeing growth in that word of mouth thing. But we've seen cons. We did a lot of research on conventions before we did this, and we've seen some conventions fail because they came out of the gate trying to
be Dragon Con.
Right.
You have to start small, and you have to.
Yeah.
So we're in the second year of growth and expecting to grow. But once we definitely, if we start feeling like it's becoming factiony or losing the sort of family feel,
or gatekeeping.
Yes.
Or gatekeeping. If we start to see that, then that's like it's time to put an attendance. We will absolutely put an attendance cap on it if we reach a level where we think going past this is going to mess up what the feel of
Makes sense. Yeah.
Main thing that we want to start out with was just to thank everyone so much for being here, coming from wherever you came from, being a part of it. It's been a long road, obviously, for everybody. This last couple of years, this is the first time out for a lot of folks, and it's just amazing to get everybody back together, be able to have conversations and interesting discussions, and see cool art and buy cool things, and it's just been absolutely wonderful. So thank you to every single person who's here. And more specifically, everybody please, huge round of applause for our volunteer team. Everyone's been, we've done this with about a third of the normal volunteer force because conventions are real short on volunteers right now. And so everything that you've seen done has been done by people doing triple the work they would normally do in a given year. So they have put in an incredible amount of work getting ready for this and running it all weekend. So thank y'all very, very much.
Before I get started with my mini review of Multiverse, I just wanted to take this opportunity to personally thank Allie and Jesse for taking the time out of their busiest moments in their schedule to sit down and talk to us. That was literally, that interview you just saw on Spotlight was literally an hour before the con began. And for them to be so gracious with their time and to sit down and talk to me about everything that you just saw, I couldn't thank them enough for that. That was amazing. I really appreciate the invitation to be there. It's amazing to experience in person. And obviously, I'm going to run into my review here with what I'm about to say. But part of the reason why I felt like I wanted to be there if they were going to do this in person this year was what they did in 2020 with the virtual con. Having gone to many, many virtual events, many virtual cons, many virtual film festivals during that year and into this year even, and experiencing all the wonderful events and festivals we've been invited to and lucky to cover and be a part of, that con stood out to me tenfold. I mean, it was so well organized, it was so well put together, it was so well designed. Everything about it just hummed, and we were there for most of it during that weekend. And I just said to myself, if I was going to go to a live event, if they were going to hold a live event, this was the one that I wanted to go to. We're so lucky to be invited and be accepted, and for them to have us there, I can't thank them enough for that opportunity. This is an incredible experience. If you're a young con goer, if you're a young aspiring writer, even if you're a veteran writer, if you've got a fandom, I almost guarantee you Multiverse is going to be the place that you're going to feel like home. That's what this really felt like. It felt like home. Everybody was so gracious, so giving. The panels were so interactive. I mean, I've never experienced something where literally the panels were talking to the audience, allowing for that feedback and allowing for that opportunity to just feel like they were a part of the panel itself. Just be a part of all of that, and to see all that and see smiling faces throughout an entire weekend and meet new people and meet friends that I've only met here in this space, in this virtual space. The growth potential of this con is infinite. I mean, because the people running it are so super smart about that. They're so super tuned in, and I really think that is what makes this con special. Yes, it's inclusive. Yes, it's intimate. Yes, it's got opportunity, networking potential, all of those things. All those things are important, especially to a goer instead of an organizer or somebody in the media looking from the outside in. But I will say, if it's not organized properly, if it's a mess, none of that matters anyway. You're going to feel like it's a mess. You're going to feel scattered. You're going to feel flustered. You're going to feel uninvited, really. And Jesse, Allie, Richard Fife, the entire director team, the entire volunteer staff, they do everything to make sure that that doesn't happen. And that is what I super appreciate about Multiverse. I will go into more detail about the panels I attended and the things that I experienced in my blog review, which it will be up as soon as this video is up. So once you're watching this, go check out it. The link will be in the description box of this video. So go check that out.